live database we're launching. I'm Angie McGuire. I'm from Rutgers. I saw some of you maybe in May at the session that was hosted here at Montclair State. And we're delighted to be partnering with Montclair State on this. This resource, is anybody familiar with the New Jersey Legislative District DataBook? Have you seen it before? If not, just hand a few of these down. Kind of a physical manifestation of the database, which is what we've been publishing for 39 years. So we have 39 years of data that have been collected about the congressional and legislative districts in New Jersey. A couple of years ago, and I'm going to put my colleague on the spot here as he walks in. This is Alan Zalkin, who's going to.
Oh, okay.
What's at the other door there?
As long as we're waiting for Alan, we've got some photographers here, and they want to get behind you, Joe. So go ahead and walk across. If you want to.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Just walk through again.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Which organization started this and
So this is created by the Rutgers Center for Government Services. There's a brief history on the website we're unveiling today here with Montclair State. So you'll be able to get the full history, which is listed on the, it's on the website. Let me see if I can just pull up now. Go to this.
What happens if you click on the New Jersey DataBook?
I could go to the website there, but I was just trying to pull up the little PowerPoint here.
That you have?
Yeah.
In the meantime, can everybody turn their phones to vibrate, please?
Is that up now? Okay, thank you.
Did you get yours? Okay.
Yeah, thank you. So the New Jersey DataBook was created by the Center for Government Services as a result of changes in the Constitution. For a little over 70 years, the congressional and legislative districts of the state aligned with the county lines. And so our elected officials received data about their constituents because it was reported in a county line. But as the Constitution changed and more congressional districts were added, more legislative districts were added, the elected officials didn't have information about their constituents. That's the genesis of why this data was collected. So we could report it by congressional and legislative district. So for years we've published this book and it's been used by legislative services primarily. It's, as you can see if you flip through it, it's an incredible amount of data. It's been collected for 39 years. It is vetted with a very rigorous protocol at Rutgers, done every year. And 2 years ago, I'm just going to introduce Alan Zalkin, who walked in, who's also
everybody. Sorry, I'm late.
the director of the Center for Government Services, had a vision that we really couldn't continue to publish something people couldn't use. And so we set about to create a database to make it accessible not just to legislators, but to all citizens, and importantly, to municipal and county governments. Because the book had evolved so far into legislative lines that it was very difficult to start finding municipal data. Even though that's what we were gathering, data, all these variables are gathered by municipality and pulled up into the larger database. So this is the 2013 book that I just handed out to you. It was published last year. We're in the midst of publishing what we hope is our last physical book. We're going to publish the 2014 book. We've always sold it. So again, that makes it less accessible when you have to collect revenue from it. And it will be for sale. And the database that goes online today is not a fee for service. It's open to the public, provided as a public service by Rutgers University. And we're going to go to the website here, which is njdatabook.rutgers.edu. The what we changed over the last couple of years is rather than reporting just legislative and congressional data, we're now reporting it by municipality as well, and probably most importantly by municipality. So you'll see we were able to cut the database 3 different ways: county, legislative, and congressional district. We've also started adding a bunch of variables. Last year we added additional variables on poverty, crime, and employment. So we're hoping as you begin your fact checking that this database is not only useful to you, but you'll start giving us feedback on the kinds of things that would be most helpful. You had a question?
I was just curious to make sure I was understanding correctly about congressional districts. they change through time, right? So
With
the
this-
time series are not great, because the districts are moving about. So
Right.
only the municipalities are staying constant?
Right, which is why we felt we had to start reporting it multiple ways. So at each census point, you have changes in the landscape of congressional districts. And so that you have to have the historical view of that, and you can cut it at the municipal level as well. So we cut it all three ways.
But again, so the congressional districts do change, is that right?
Yes, they
Okay,
do.
good. Okay,
Yes, they
sorry.
do. Yeah, they do. This initial version that we're going to show you a view of today has data from the books that were published in 2011, 2012, 2013, and 2014, exactly for the root problem you're talking about, which is the census data changes the boundaries. And so we wanted to get the initial version out, and we'll start loading the older data as we can reflect how the boundaries have changed in legislative and congressional districts.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the home website. The home, I can make it smaller even. So if you go into the About tab, about the data book, you'll see a history of the data book, which is I think what you were asking about. And does anybody know Dr. Ernie Rioch from Rutgers University? He's 89 years old. He's been working on the data book for all 39 years. He still comes in every day and assists us with adapting the protocol and the process to gather the data. One of the things we really stress with this data book is it's reliable. It comes from sources that can be checked. We check it, we vet it, we proofread it, which is the costly part of putting one of these things together. But because we have 39 years of data that follow a protocol, we feel confident that we have data that you could use, which is, again, one of the reasons we do it here.
And you Oprah some of it.
We have to Oprah more and more every year. It used to be we could go to our friends in Trenton who knew it was Rutgers University, we're the State University of New Jersey, and data would come to us. Or we used to even have to drive to Trenton to get some of it. More and more we got electronic files, and over the past 2 years we've been required to Oprah things. We are surprised we have to Oprah, but we've gone ahead and established those processes as well so that we can, and they know we're coming every year. We still have data that is more difficult to gather. Like I mentioned, we added crime reporting.
Yeah.
And the state police are woefully slow with the UCRs for crime data. So we use FBI data, which is
Ooh.
coming out just a little quicker than state data, even though it's reported from the same sources. But it does lag. So data that's available in 2013 is really a UCR for 2011. When you see how this database is organized, it's organized around the year of the event. So if we're reporting data about crime in 2011, because that's the most current UCR available, Uniform Crime Report, sorry if I didn't explain the acronym, it's because that's the most current published and reported is 2011 data. In the features section here, what you can see is we have 11 indicators, I don't know if you can see all of that are currently available. There's actually 12 indicators, but not all of the school data is loaded yet. And each one of these, if you were to click on the feature, will give you a definition of what it is and what sources we use. We can always give you more detailed sources. We didn't put the links on these pages, but it's a description of what it is we're reporting and who provided the data. If you go into should I go ahead and go into the database now, or you want to save that later for when we have a development team here?
We could save that for later.
Okay.
We can fit it in.
Yeah. So I'll just show you what happens here. Once you go into the database, the first step is you're selecting the geography by which to search the data. So if you can see these tabs, it's county, congressional, and legislative. Now, a lot of attempts at this have been made before, but they'll say pick 3 cities to compare, or pick 2 counties to compare, or something like that. We elected to build this out originally with everything included. So if you pick Atlantic County, it's going to show you all of the municipalities in Atlantic County. It will automatically click them all, or you can unclick select all and just pick the cities you want to look at in Atlantic County and compare them. Likewise, if you go to a congressional district, you're selecting which districts you want to look at. And within a district, it's going to tell you which counties are covered in that district, and within those counties, which cities. So you can select, I only want to look at Atlantic County in District 23, or in District 2. There are 23 cities in Atlantic County. I want to use all of them, and I will unclick Cape May County, and I will unclick Cumberland County. So it's giving you a lot of flexibility to cut and look at data from a number of ways within a congressional district. Within a legislative district, same thing. You can pick whichever legislative district you want to look at. District 27, Essex County, there are 8 municipalities within the legislative district, and in Morris County there are another 6. So you can look at any variation on that. So your first cut is by geography, any way you want to look at it. You can select everything. You can select the whole state, every municipality, every legislative district, whichever way you want to cut it. Then in the second selection process, you're selecting the variables that you want to look at by choosing the indicator, which is the health or well-being of communities. Then within that indicator, the variables that you want to look at. Now, the one limitation we still have is you can only look at 1 year of data at a time. So if you wanted to look at employment, the 3 variables that we have in the database for everything is workforce, unemployment, and percent unemployed. You can select them all. And then select the year you want to look at the data for. If you wanted to then download it, the function for downloading, well, let me just first show you the display. We'll talk about this more later when you want to use it for fact check. Oh, I'm in some, it's not letting me. We'll look at it later when you want to look at data checking. So it's a first step, second step. First pick your geography, cut it any way you want, then pick your variables and indicators, look at what you want to look at, okay? And I think then you want to wait till later on in the session to go to.
I thought what we might do, just assuming that some of you might want to use this data for your fact checks, that we can go over a little bit more for lunchtime entertainment. And then while you're doing your hands-on fact checking, Angie can walk around and help you use the data too, if that makes sense.
Okay, good. Any questions, comments, feedback?
I had a question, and I should have said before that if you have questions, you should ask now, because we never know at the end if we're going to have a lot of time. Is any other state doing this?
There is no other state doing this.
Wow.
We've had inquiries from a number of states of, could you build this for us? Well, the answer is, sure, we can build the database. This was done by a team of Rutgers IT folks. But the data is what's hard, right? What's hard is feeding the data in. We have the advantage of starting with 39 years of data. So you could pick it up from where we are and go forward with it. Pennsylvania captured data for a couple of years and published sort of maps, visualization of the data, but had to stop because it's difficult to fund the staff to do this kind of data collection. And Rutgers has done it as a public service, so we have that benefit.
Do you have a plan to do an API?
We do, and actually we thought we'd talk later when our development team is here, so you could ask about the platforms and things like that, and they'll be here in about half
And
an hour.
apparently you have to register to use this, is that right?
That's correct. You do register to use it. That's so that we can send updates. It's in pre-release, as you can see. So you'll create an email and a login. When the next rev of the database is available, you'll get an email back saying new data's been added, let you know, that kind of thing. So it's used just for notification and so that we can understand what's useful to people and what's not to help us focus. It's not for any other reason. Privacy statement at the bottom. Any other questions?